What's up, YouTube? Dead Drug Gaming back today for episode number 3 of the Dead Drug Gaming Roundtable. Today, as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Danny Astrike, and we are here with special guest Ryan Grant. So we're going to talk a little bit about Arizona regionals, a little bit about Philadelphia regionals, and we're going to get into a bunch of stuff. But I want to start out. Ryan, why don't you go ahead and tell us about yourself?
My name is Ryan Grant. I'm 22 years old from Whitewater, Wisconsin. I've been playing Pokemon now since I started when I think Boundaries Crossed just came out, or a little bit before that. Boundaries Crossed just came out, and my first tournament was the Cities, and I didn't do too well. But then the second one, I got top 8. Playing like a wacky Ho-Oh list, and ever since then I thought it was a lot of fun, and I've been playing since. And I've been in the first couple of years, I didn't do too well or the best and all, but then started meeting more friends, working with them, and one of them being Caleb Gedimer. I know he writes for you guys, and he was a big help, testing with him a lot and working on deck lists collaboratively. That helped out a lot to getting better. And then since the first season, I really started working with him a lot, like consistently, and we had kind of a group together. I qualified for Worlds. I ended up being first in Wisconsin in points.
Nice.
I won Iowa State's. I'm not sure what else that year. I think the year before, the first big thing I did though was top 8'd Fort Wayne regionals, but I didn't qualify that year. I don't believe that was 2014. Yeah, I didn't. Oh, there goes the camera.
It's fine.
Yeah, didn't qualify that year. But yeah, since working with Caleb, that helped out a lot, and I was able to start doing that. And then last year I qualified as well, being second in Wisconsin, and I won Wisconsin States, top 32'd, Texas Regionals, top 32 Nats, and got top 8 at another states as well, and just various leagues. Won the Cities, I think, both of those years as well. So it's kind of here and there and stuff.
This was all last year?
Well, last year some of it, like I said, I've over a couple of years won some cities and topped. I topped. I should say my first year, or first full year playing. Or was it my first year? I think it was my first year actually that I got top 4 Wisconsin states, and I was nowhere close to qualifying. I got a total I think 80 champ points the whole year, but the next year I top 4'd again as well, and I was hoping that the next year I did bad at Wisconsin. I was hoping to keep it consistent, but then last year I won it, so that was cool. The last Wisconsin States as we know it. So
nice.
That was nice, yeah. But
last Wisconsin State champion.
Yeah, but yeah, the 2014-2015 season was probably my I got more points overall. I got over 500 that year, 542 I think, or something like that. Oh. And last year I got 462 though. So by this year's qualifications, I wouldn't have made it quite. But I made it out to less events. I didn't do the Cities Marathon. I don't think I went to as many states. I went to a few regionals, but just wasn't. I guess I wasn't testing as much that year. So. But this year I've been.
You mentioned the threshold was a little bit more, up to 500 this year, and you're off to an amazing start so far, because you've been to 2 regionals so far. Is that right?
Yeah, just 2.
And how have those gone? Which ones did you go to, and how did they go? Before we get into the nitty gritty of them.
Yeah. First I went to Arizona, to Phoenix, and I was pretty sure on what I wanted to play. I was kind of deciding between, Night March and Salagor, and ended up doing Salagor. But I got Day 2, top 32. I ended up like 24th place, and then the other one was Philly this past weekend, and I got Day 2 as well and got top 16 this time.
Awesome. So you definitely have seen a lot of success in a very short amount of time. And as you mentioned already, it mostly in part because of working with other people and getting all that testing done and collaborating to figure out, the best possible situations for all of your games and the best possible techs and cards and your perfect 60. So I guess one thing I kind of want to touch on before we get into, like Danny said, the nitty gritty of Arizona and Philadelphia is like, both of those tournaments were expanded, and this year so far in expanded, we have seen just a crazy amount of different decks, and it hasn't been like this year in expanded, it hasn't been so meta defined as it has been, like it was last year. How have you been able to see, these results where you've gotten top 32 and top 16 in such a ever changing format?
Well, for Arizona, at least, I felt like, at least from seeing what people hyped up a lot, it seemed like Dark was the thing. And it's always been popular here and there. I guess the expanded tournaments I've gone to before, it's always there, but not like in a huge amount. And it just seemed to be like an overwhelming amount this time to me. So for that, I felt like Wildfed of Celigor, that's why, especially because I saw that, like I saw Brad Curcio testing with someone and they clearly didn't play Keldeo, things like that, or like not playing that, even though it's one swabs up, it's not usable, but it's still with like Lysander. I like tested the matchup from the other side, and being able to have Keldeo at least gives you a chance, and just knowing that people cut that entirely and maybe played one AZ, that just seemed like if there's gonna be a lot of Dark with no Keldeo, just one AZ, maybe not even, who knows. It just seemed like a good field for it. I didn't really know what else to expect, but as much, I definitely didn't expect Greninja because of Archeops. I expected, maybe Trev, and I knew that was a potentially rough matchup if you don't draw perfectly, but
did Caleb not let you in on his big secret of Greninja? You went down?
No, like well, first of all, that was the Green Bay guys. He at the end, he was gonna potentially play something else. He switched to Greninja when he talked to them at the end, and those guys don't really work with me. I don't know, we're all Wisconsin, but I've tried kind of talking to them. I guess some people like to keep to their group, Caleb's known them a lot longer than me. Me and him haven't really, for a while, weren't quite working together. Like my deck for the last two regionals, I didn't work with him at all for. That was just me and my friends from my area are just kind of like, looking at other lists and making changes accordingly to how I like it to be. But yeah, so he didn't really talk to me about that, but
he saw something.
Yeah.
Cool. So, I guess now with knowing that, let's backtrack, a month or so, probably even a little bit longer, back to the Arizona regionals. We kind of heard about why you had your deck choice, but if you could just briefly explain, how your day went and, what some of your matchups were and how you just overall how you did.
Yeah. So, well, from the start of just a little bit more on why I decided to play it, I guess was so my friend Austin, who plays with me, who was very shy of getting his invite last year. We were looking at results because we knew we were going to Arizona. It was coming up, and he saw that Ross had topped 2 different regionals with Wildfed of Celigor, and then I think Bob Zhang did as well with a different list, a quite unique one. But and so we looked at it and we're like, it seems like people are sleeping on this. We thought about expanded. People don't play many switching cards, things like that, and with Night March that you'll just KO it anyways, and that can be a rough matchup with Life Dew and stuff like that, but it just seemed like a good option. So, and then with things like Plume Box being played, that Wob helps against that. I didn't expect as much of that either, as much as there was. But yeah, I ended up playing, and I played 2 Plume Boxes, and both of them, the first guy, he was doing it well. He got Magirna out and stuff like that, and I just kept using Zerosic or Lysander to get around that. I'd Lysander it up, he'd Ninja Boy it or AZ it, and then he'd put it back down, put energy on that, or the active, like he'd use Aegis Slash too, so I'm not doing damage and hopefully not paralyzing it, but then hit Zerosic, then, you know, once you've already paralyzed it, they can't, and then they can't to just attach an energy like Virizion to wake up from paralysis. And he even mentioned at the end, he's like, I thought about putting Virizion too, but that seemed overkill. And but he just, at one point, one game though, he was attaching so much to the Aegis Slash, and if you could have attached potentially to the Magirna as well to stop me from knocking it out again, and he, I don't know, I guess he just kind of like misplayed a bit in my opinion, that it could have been rougher, but with Zerosic and Lysander, that was the key to winning against that, to making sure Magirna didn't help him out. And the other person, I felt like the other Plume Box, I felt like they could have done more. He like wobbles up, so obviously he can use items. He's just kind of sitting there, you know, kind of like passing. And then other turns he'd finally play something, you'd see he has items, and he just like didn't seem like he wanted to play it out. Maybe he was bothered. He was like super stoked. He was happy that he was doing, you know, it was like later on in the rounds that like doing well at regionals. I think it was like one of his first tournaments, or like first regionals, and then he just I don't know, the second game he ended up scooping almost right away, or like, I don't know, he just like, I guess got frustrated that he couldn't item lock. I don't know, but I feel like he had options to do stuff with Magirna as well, because he was starting that like Aegis Slash, but he just kind of like gave up on that. But then I know I played a couple I don't know, some dark decks. One was a Dark Tina deck that first game I believe I got to go first, and so I was able to get the deck and cover, and he didn't play, I think, Keldeo or AZ. Oh. Yeah, and so that went very well. Obviously, just deck and cover every turn, make sure they don't get an attack off. And then the second game, he got to go first, and he got a Chaos Wheel off right away, and that spelled, yeah, I couldn't do anything. I scooped pretty fast, I think, because I was also I might have got benched or scooped fast, and then the next game, I was able to go first and get the deck and cover first again. And then another dark I played against had Archeops in it, and, you know, like the typical one with 2 Silent Lab, 2 Parallel. And at one point, I got stuck in a point where he got Archeops up, and he also had Silent Lab, and so that's rough, so I can't evolve, like, while I'm not doing anything. And I had used a few stadiums, had to discard one early, and he couldn't retreat, though, because I think I Lysandered something up, because of Dark Cloak, and I guess, you know, Floatstone. He decided to counter his own stadium, and that was kind of his flaw there. That game could have been a lot rougher, yeah, or more rough, but, like, he just countered his own stadium, so that kind of helped that out. And then my most insane match of the day was definitely playing the mirror match. We played one game that played to a tie.
Wow.
Yeah, I've never done that before. It was so like, it was one of the cooler games I've played, because it just took a lot of thought. You know, it wasn't just simply like who went first, who went second. It was just, when do you AZ, when can you, you know. And I played, unlike other ones usually just play 4 Verbank, I played 1 Forest of Giant Plants, so you can kind of offset the math so you don't die going into their turn, so that helps. And just for recovery, if someone knocks out your lone Salvagor or Shelmet, it ended up coming in quite handy, and I liked it. I was considering the deck again for Philly, and I would have played it again. Other than that, I also don't own a 4th Verbank, but that's easy to borrow. But that's part of the initial testing of it. It's like, I don't own a 4th Verbank, we'll try this out. And it actually did work out a lot. You know, being able to go second in deck and cover right away sometimes. I mean, it's a 1 card in the whole deck, but if you get it, it's, you know, it pays off. I think it paid off. But yeah, so that was about the craziest one. I did play against Trevenant once. I was playing against Andrew Ramey, and he played 2 Enhanced Hammers. So my Wobbuffets and the Mystery Energy just didn't stick, so it was kind of like I just got trapped. Yeah, that's like your chance against them, is to like deck and cover, leave their Dimension Valley up, finish off their like Trev with your Wobbuffet, and kind of like rinse repeat like that. And I tested the matchup once, a 2 out of 3, but it wasn't versus a hammer version, so any version with hammers probably beats you. But yeah, it's definitely.
So what did you finish day 1? What was your record?
It was, it was 6-1. So okay. Yeah, I also lost though. I played against TJ Tranquillar playing Sableye Garb, and the first game I started Wob and he just kept kind of passing or like junk hunting for not very useful things. My hand was very dead. I was able to like deck and cover, but then I was drawing no supporter. And then I think I had like Ultra Ball for Shaman or something, so I retreated to the like Shelmet, tried to Ultra Ball for it and hopefully get the deck and cover, and I missed, and he had like 2 Shamans and a Jirachi in his hand, I think, and I like from there he just, did everything that Sable Garb does, just trap things, remove energy, or you don't really have energy, but the like mysteries if they're there. Just keep putting up the stadium, trapping things. He milled away. He got like both games. He 2-0'd me. He got rid of like doubles and a Celigor lines, like things that like he hit like really good trick shovels at certain points, and yeah, just didn't really. I think that's a bad matchup too. Essentially, unless you get like a perfect draw of starting only Shelmet and keep on deck and covering until, but it's kind of like a lot to ask for, and so yeah, that didn't quite happen.
Yeah, and if you're gonna lose 2 matches, I mean, those are 2 people that I wouldn't feel bad losing to, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't feel bad about it. I was like, I did what I could. I probably should have just kept the Wob up against like the one game because it was close to it. Maybe I could have tied instead. But overall, I still made day 2. So it was, it was like it was a bit lower of attendance, like 400 something. So 6-1, or
6-1 barely makes it.
Yeah, I was like 28th, I think, but like, yeah, but made it. Luckily, yeah, that's how it usually is for me at regionals. Usually I'm squeaking in. Like, sometimes I've been like 32nd or like 31st, and then one regionals that unfortunately didn't have a day 2. I was 32nd. Like, there wasn't enough people for it back Madison, like 2014 or something like that. But
Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
So awesome. But you did not barely make it into day 2 at Philly. So what made you change your deck choice over to Rainbow Road? Was it just testing that you were like, I think Rainbow Road's the better option? Because the meta was, I mean, when you look at the top 32 decks, as far as consistency goes, there is none. Like it's all over the place.
Yeah. Well, I saw a lot of people playing, like more than I expected to be playing Rainbow Road in Arizona with, they're not being Karen and Night March still being legal. It was just kind of a surprise. I guess people just wanted to, I don't know, maybe it seemed more fun to try it out. And to me, I've always, Ho-Oh's been one of my favorite Pokemon. And the card itself has been cool to me. Like I've tried taking it in my first year to regionals and did bad with it. But after I did, top 8 cities, and I was just kind of like stoked on the card and always thought it was cool and having a way to use it. But I wasn't really sure what to play. I like Rainbow Road in Standard. Like I still test that. I've done some like league challenges. I want a league challenge with it, small league challenge. But and I like it. I like the attack Rainbow Force. I think it's interesting. I think it's a cool attack. And so, with liking Ho-Oh and just thinking like I wasn't really sure what to face, and I just know I was having fun testing it. Like just being able to rebirth, energy switch to whatever, have like some like your own unique attackers. And it just seemed like more fun, but I figured it could be good. In Wildfit Celigor, I didn't test it as much lately. A couple times, seemed like it could be good still, and obviously it was. Someone got second with it. Yeah. I think I could have still done potentially well with it playing that. But I guess it just seemed more fun. I guess that was the option, to try to have a little more fun but still do well. It ended up paying off. I mean, I lost my first round and thought it wasn't. I was like, this was a mistake. Like I let yeah, like and it was
you
the
won
Don.
the next 6, right? You won 6 in a row then after that?
I won the next 7.
7?
I decided to.
Crazy.
Yeah, because like, well, I didn't face any bad matches. I went into it, I was worried about like people might play Sable Garb. I saw a couple, and I was worried about any Trevenant, and luckily I didn't see any until day 2. But unfortunately, it was at the worst time. My winning in. Like I saw it, until the person that won, but that was. But yeah, because I ended up facing like a good, I faced, I faced some darks. Like my first round, like it was Don Fan, which was crazy to me. And the reason I ended up losing that, well, the second game, I won the first game, I believe, or did I go second the first game? One of the games I know I got donked. I started lone execute, and he attached a strong to Fanpy and just knocked it out. I was like, okay. And then, yeah, the other game I lost, I made a small mistake of I could have Stellar Guidance for Lysander, and instead I Battle Compressor VS for it, and I could have saved a VS, and that could have helped me in the end game to like have just an extra resource. But it may not have mattered. He just ended up trapping up Hoopa a couple times. Like I was able to manually retreat it one time, but he Lysandered again, and I didn't have any other like retreating options. I wish I had room for like AZ or something like that. I didn't, or I kind of skimped and played one float stone, so that was, I didn't like that, but it was just there, and so that probably is what cost that game. But after that, it was, I think, a Dark Garb deck, and they were a newer player. So, I mean, Dark is usually generally a good matchup. I mean, Parallel City can get you, but I played my own Parallel City for things like that as well.
Nice.
And that was something that actually helped me out a lot throughout the entire tournament. So, you know, usually it's there just kind of so they can't parallel you first. And I played Muscle Band, so you can still hit 180 with Parallel City being up. So, still knock out EXs and stuff like that. So I was able to 2-0 that person. And then I think I played next against Mega Ray. And that one was the match was pretty back and forth just because I wasn't drawing great for a while. And they were able to just go back and forth, either take an EX or just, you know, they're essentially more consistent in getting energy, but it's the non-EX for EX prize trade.
Right.
That usually puts it in your favor. And then there was a turn where I Parallel City'd them, and I thought that was just going to be like the best option to do. Because I think I was finishing something off I was finishing off a Rayquaza that I wasn't able to one-hit KO. I missed it one turn because I had to like fill my bench with like I think too many Hoes from Rebirth and just didn't have enough different types. And I finished off with Sky Return while parallel, and I'm thinking that was just like, that's fine, I can Skyfield next turn and get everything going, just take another KO. But they were able to play Karen and then fill up their whole bench again, like Skyfield, do like a full thing, you know. And I waited till they got rid of a few Skyfields, but they just had like a perfect hand to come back. And luckily I won that game on the last Rebirth flip for heads, Ninja Boy. Got the KO, and then there was enough time to finish the second one, and that was right before lunch. Or I think that was round 3. Yeah, it was round 3. And after lunch, I played against someone who made day 2, playing like a Turbo Dark Giratina deck.
Okay.
I think his name was Chris something.
Chris Siakala?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, that was him. And I know we played 3 games. I think I won the first one, or maybe he won the first one. And then the second, one of the games he was just able to just get everything going. I couldn't get one-hit KOs between either like Fury Belt or stuff like that. And he was able to get a lot of energy on Darkrai and one-hit KO my Xerneaces every time, and I just wasn't drawing too well. But luckily I got the last game to pull it out. I'm trying to think of what else their matches I played against. I know I played against two Rainbow Roads. The first one being Andy Gray. So this round's taking forever, and he knows what this is later on, but he knows what I'm playing. I don't know, through other people, and he mentions that. I'm like, all right. And he's like trying to like kind of like hint at what he's playing, just having fun, being nice or whatever. And then the person next to me, like, then I guess they were kind of talking. We were sitting there forever. The round was taking a while. He was hoping for a repair because I guess he didn't want to play the mirror match. I don't know why. He just didn't really want to play it. So he was just sitting there like saying, I really hope there's a repair. And stuff like that. And it was taking a while. Like Philly in general, the rounds took a while. Like there was enough time. The guy next to me asked me, I didn't really know him, but he asked me to take a selfie with him for Snapchat. I was like, sure, whatever. I sent it to like Sam Hoff or something like that, just sending like a random funny selfie. And then so the round starts, so he chose to go second. And then like he was explaining to someone next to him that his start was fine minus that. And I look at my hand, we flip, he starts execute. And I look at my hand and I'm like, I have I had Ultra Ball, but I had top decked Hoopa, and I'm like thinking, I just look, and I end up like Ultra Ball, and I think thinking some stuff out or figuring everything out, and I Hoopa, grab Jirachi, grab Jirachi and grab Latios. I have Float Stone in hand. I think I started with the Psychic or something like that, and then I Skyla for Computer Search to grab the Psychic Retreat, and then fast raid him to win the first game just with a donk.
Nice.
Like, he's just like, what just he's like, what? I'm like, fast raid. He's like, wait, he had to read the card for a second. I don't know if he forgot. He's like, who plays fast raid? And I was like, I don't know. It was Brandon Cantu in the list. This is the first time it really totally paid off, but it was worth it. I stole a game. And then the next game, I just kind of like drew better than him. I don't even think I ended up using Parallel City for it because it just like he just didn't draw as well. I was able to like knock out things faster, get some EX KOs. He tried to go Jolteon, and I played the break, so I was able to get that and knock it out. And so that was a pretty fast 2 games, which is nice.
That's smart. Putting Jolteon in there, or putting the break in there.
Yeah,
and
I saw Tyler Ninamura playing that at Arizona, so it seemed good. And also it helped against, I knew another reason I wanted was for in case any Celigor, because once they attack it, you can evolve, and that gets you a turn to attack, and that helped. Like my games later in day 2 against it, I played against Mike on day 2, and it helped out. But so there was that, and then I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember if there's. I don't know. My memory about tournaments is kind of like if I sit there long enough, I can kind of remember, but I'm not sure exactly.
Well, you definitely played Ray Eels on day 1, right? Because you played.
Yeah, that was the last. That was the last round. But before that, I played for the round to secure that whether I was in or not, and that was Rainbow Road. And they had Fright Night in there. It was an interesting list. They made day 2 as well. I started something with like 2 retreats, so that wasn't the greatest thing. But I was able to get a turn where I Stellar Guidance for Hex, had the Float Stone, and just retreated it and took a KO. So that ended up working out. And then that game, I think it was that game, they were ahead, and I noticed they had their Skyfield in play, and at least 2, maybe 3 other Skyfields, I'm not sure how many they played, were in the discard pile though. And then I played the Parallel, and then it got them. They couldn't do anything, couldn't knock out anything. They were ahead quite a few prizes. It ended up being the MVP in mirror matches like that. I'm playing it the next 2 days, next 2 times on day 2 as well. They just can't one-hit KO you, and you can still one-hit KO like just about anything, unless they have like a Fury Belt on something. But not everyone. One of the persons I played had Fury Belt for sure, but I don't know if so I was able to win like that, and the next game kind of went, I think similar, like it was close, but then Parallel, just holding it till the end to make sure to hit them at the right time. Once some of their Skyfields are gone, or once they've used like 2 Shaman and a Jirachi or Hoopa, and like I would just wait to see which of their draw Pokemon they would use that can help them like recover a bench. And I'd usually wait after at least 2 or 3 of them were gone to use the Parallel. And so that ended up being like the MVP of the mirror matches, really was Parallel City.
Nice.
And then then I played the last one. I could have ID'd Sam. He asked what I wanted to do. We never got to play.
I was wondering about that. I wanted to ask you about that because you both were locked for day 2, right? So what made you play it out?
So I was just talking, to like Caleb, my friends and stuff, and it really, usually I always just take the ID for stuff like that. And I played it out once, guaranteeing it, like at Nats 2015. I know if I lost, I was going to be 6-2-1, but I had a first round bye from winning a state, so I knew I would make it in, or was positive. Everyone, all my friends told me I'd make it still, so I played it out and I ended up losing. So it seems like every time I try to play it out, I lose. But I felt it was worth it though. If I could maybe first seed, only have to win 2 games the next day, really, or 2 in a tie, 2, yeah.
But it would be nice not even just that, but it's nice because if you're playing him in day 2, you want to know the matchup, right? If you make top 8,
yeah.
If you squeak in, like you want to see how you're gonna pair up against it because when he's going into the round 7-0-1, so he hasn't lost at all. So you want to be able to find out what you can do to kind of hand him those inconsistent losses that he's getting. So it makes sense to me.
Yeah, so
your thought process.
And yeah, it just seemed like a good idea, like trying to get a better record, make my day 2 easier, see what it's like. And me and him have never got to play. We've talked, like we played once at like a LC, I think, at like a side event of a tournament way back. He was playing like Ray Eels, and I was playing, I think, Dark, and he ended up like beating me with the like Electros, which he ended up playing for that, which is funny. And then he had it. He showed me for the thing. He's like, I was like, is that the same one? He's like, yes. And I thought that was hilarious. But we never got a chance to play. You know, we'll say hi at tournaments and stuff like that. So it was nice to be able to play for once. And so the first game, I think I don't remember who got to go first, but it was, at first I was doing well. Like I figured that Eels, like I kind of knew what he was playing because he was asking about Spark Dynamos in the beginning. I thought I had them, was going to borrow them, but I had the Thunderwave one instead. And so I didn't know how that matchup was. It seemed not too bad. I mean, they don't play necessarily too many EXs, but I felt like I'd be faster and just be able to get the KOs. And they have to have like a Fury Belt on to one-hit KO Xerneas. And I don't know, I just felt like it wasn't necessarily a bad matchup, maybe just kind of like a 50-50 thing, or just, you know, whoever draws better. And I think I got down like 3 prizes or whatever, and he just ended up I didn't realize he played 4 FCs. That was me just assuming that because, you know, Michael Sutsi's deck had 3, and I don't know, it just seems like it might be a hard thing to fit. But he ended up playing 4, and that be able to counter my stadiums and he ended up winning by having a Mewtwo with Fighting Fury Belt and just overloading that and just kind of knocking things out eventually, and I couldn't one-hit KO it. And there was a turn where I think I was missing attacks as well. I just ended up he hexed me on a very important turn where I needed to rebirth. And I don't know, I might have messed up on that where I could have maybe, I don't know if I had it in hand, but if I had a chance to attach a fairy instead of the double, so I can try to get more guarantee and attack that way, I'm not sure. But the hex kind of got me there. And then the second game we had enough time to finish out, I don't think, or if we did, he might have ended up winning actually. I think he actually ended up winning, like, not sure, but yeah, I just didn't draw too well, not as well as I had been, you know, most of the day, and it was whatever. I knew I was gonna still make it, so I was glad about that, and so, but I just figured it was worth it, you know, to make it easier to make day 2, and it would have been nice because I think it would have been a lot easier to win 2 games and just tie once. But,
yeah, it would have been nice.
So for day 2. I started off playing it against the mirror match. The first game, the person was beating me pretty bad. My opening start wasn't too great, or at least not as well as theirs. You know, getting like a bunch of compressors, a bunch of hose in the discard, getting a bunch of stuff set up, and they were very far ahead. And then I ended up paralleling them, and then, you know, I took a few KOs, or I think like 2 KOs, but I had like 4 prizes. And I think they had 1. And so they had a turn where I think they could have attacked. It wouldn't have been a knockout, but they just chose to sit back and pass. I don't know what they chose to do. I think they had all their other Skyfields gone. And so I Lysandered up to Xerneas, knocked it out, and then he tried to start another one, and then I think I knocked it out as well. And then I think I had to do one where I didn't have the muscle band to get a KO on EX, so I had to hit once. And the next turn I think I was able to take the prizes. But if he would have actually just, like, he did rebirth at one point, if he would have just Rainbow Burned me, because I had so many prizes left at one point, Rainbow Burned, let it get knocked out, Rainbow Burned me again. If I couldn't retreat to like a new Xerneas with energy, he could have potentially won, but he just, I guess he thought he had the Rainbow Force for the KO. But that's where Parallel came in really good. And then the next game, he himself, like, he was playing very slow. I was kind of worried when I was doing, when he was ahead of me, I was pretty worried. I was like, he's playing slow. Will I even be able to finish another game? Is this gonna either maybe tie or I just can't even finish another game? But I didn't, I tried not to, unless someone's being very, very slow, to like only once I've ever called a judge on anybody for playing really slow. I try not to. I understand sometimes things are critical, but on like almost everything. And later in the second game, he was losing and he was still playing slow, and no time had been called. I think in the second game, there's no way to win or something, or maybe it was potential chance, but the judges even said we'd warned you many times, and he was still playing slow. And I don't know. I was like, it didn't work to his advantage. Like, I was like, I didn't mind. I'm not I was like, if you're gonna play slower after I won the first game, like that's not gonna really. I mean, I'm playing at a normal pace. It's your choice. I'm not gonna rush you. So there was that, and then the next round. Trying to think what I played against next. Sorry. Yeah, it's kind of end up being like a blur. So sometimes I
mean, it's a lot of rounds to get through, so
yeah,
I can understand why you would miss, why you would forget a couple of them.
To mention, I fell asleep, or we slept in the car, so we only booked a hotel for the first night, and it's like if
you
we
guys
made
drove
it
there.
Yeah, we drove there, so that was
Gross.
there's the that was like 16 hours. I didn't have to drive because I was Caleb, and then his longtime friend and my friend now who lives in where I live, Ryan Bruckner. So they kind of they alternated, and I was willing to drive, but then I guess Caleb just he's particular about his car, so he doesn't know, he's never been in a car where I'm driving, so it's understandable, it's not. But so we booked the hotel for the first night, and they're like, if we make day 2, if anyone makes day 2, we book another hotel to make it cheaper in case we don't. But neither of them did, so they just kind of like, and we were trying to see if I could get a ride back with other people who live in the area because they had school and stuff, but that didn't work out. So we just decided to kind of crash in the car, saved everybody money. It wasn't the greatest, but yeah, I slept in the back. That was kind of, and I got an okay amount of hours of sleep, but not as much as I'd like. And about like
I know that feeling. 2 years ago, not this last Philadelphia Regionals because I didn't go to this one, but the one before, Cody Graham and I and our buddy David, we drove from Grand Forks to Philadelphia, which is 26 hours one way. So it was not fun.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
And the longest I've been in, I think, was when I didn't qualify, but I was going for the last chance qualifier for Worlds in DC with some friends. That was like, I think, like 18 hours or something like that, and that was the longest I've been. And that was all from my legs were cramped, and like I would just wake up in so much pain. And when we'd go to like a rest stop, I'd go lay out on like the concrete because my legs were killing me. But yeah, so there was that. So yeah, it's definitely.
So you had a win and in match, right? So, I mean, you can, if you want to fast forward a little bit, you can. But you had a win and in match for top 8, right?
Yes. So that was against Trevenant, though. It was against Jonathan Crespo, who won the whole tournament. So yeah, it's a dreadful matchup. The first game he started slow. He ended up having like 4 EXs out right away and didn't get a turn one Trevenant. I thought there might be a chance. I rebirthed. I think I attached an energy. I only had like 1 energy on it though. Attached an energy to the active Keldeo with a Ninja Boy in hand, hoping to I had a double in hand, hoping to start KOing things next turn because I had to play like a different supporter. And he got 2 crushing hammerheads, got the Trevenant, and I didn't realize. I figured it was a bad matchup, but realizing how bad it really is, I was just like, I don't know. I don't like to be like a poor sport or anything, but I was just sitting there with my hand on my face, clearly looking bothered. I didn't, I wasn't being rude to him or anything at the end. I said congrats, and I was like, good luck in top 8, obviously, but and then the next game, I get to go first. I was hoping for some stealing games with fast rate. I was hoping that was my way to get it. But I didn't know how else was going to happen. Unless he draws absolutely dreadful. And my hand was awful, though. I had no supporter. I had a battle compressor. I had like 2 Skyfield, just energy switches, nothing useful in my hand. I think I started Xerneas. And there was a turn, I think, on that game or one where I chorused for a huge hand. And then next turn I had like Hex, and I could have started taking KOs, and maybe there would have been the smallest chance ever, even though he was already up like 4 prizes. But he ended away, he played 4 red card for like, and then so like I never got like a hand of anything. So yeah, it sucked because next to me 2 darks were playing. And I know in the last round I think Tarbell had to play a dark. It's just like, why couldn't have. I don't know, maybe the Trevenants played each other and I could have got a dark or something. I was just hoping for that. But no luck on that. I was just really hoping for a dark last round, and then as soon as I didn't know who he was or what he was playing for sure. But as soon as I saw him, I just kind of felt like I knew he was playing Trev, and I'm like, I was instantly not in a better mood. I was just like, it was kind of like heartbreaking. I was like, finally, I get a good regionals where I start off well, and I'm confident against every matchup, but or like pretty confident against most things but that. But yeah, before that, I also ended up playing Mike Fouché, I think the round or 2 rounds before that. And I tried to play it to a tie, but there was enough time. He won game 1. It was really close. I was down to 1 prize. And I could have won on my last turn, but it was a really risky play. I ended up Lysandering, emptying my hand to Shame. And if I would have got my Super Rod, I think I had an Ultra Ball. Or if I didn't, then it wouldn't have mattered. But if I had an Ultra Ball, I could have Super Rodded, Ultra Ball, put in Keldeo, because I think I had a double in hand. If I would have got heads on a Rebirth, I would have needed a lot, some luck here. But Rebirth another Ho-Oh. I had Energy Switch to move it to the one that was active and paralyzed, with 2 energy on it. So if I had to rush and retreat, and that would have Rainbow Burn knocked out Shelmet, which would have been the game. But luck was not in my favor for that. In the second game, there wasn't enough time. I was up some prizes. He knew it was going to be played out, so he didn't fully play things out. I know there's a bit more he could have done, but it could have potentially been in my favor. I don't know. And then the next round before that was Rainbow Road, and Parallel City was really what kind of got it again for that. And yeah, so the last round was unfortunately pretty much an auto loss. I mean, I was glad to dodge it the entire tournament, but when it mattered, kind of mattered.
Yeah.
Most it got me, but
still, top 16 is really good. I mean, 2 regionals, 2 day 2s. That's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, those 2 regionals actually brought you up to the top 30 in the Charizard Lounge power rankings. So, not that those mean a whole lot, but it's still kind of cool to see, your accomplishments actually be put into writing somewhere and not just, in your head. So, so that's really cool. It's a great two regionals that you've been in, and day 2ing both of them, especially this early in the year, is no joke, and you've done very well. So, yeah. So, what do we? You'll be attending Fort Wayne regionals in 2 weeks, correct?
Yep.
Yep. So, I guess I don't want to touch too much on Orlando, but after seeing how Orlando played out, if you, and I don't need you to tell me any sort of secrets or anything here, but if you had to sleeve up a 60 right now and play in Fort Wayne, what would you do?
Well, what I've been testing the most, like I kind of said earlier, is Rainbow Road. I like it. It has its inconsistencies in standard, it's being kind of like max elixir based. But I'm pretty close on setting, I think, like the finalized cards of it. But that's what I'm liking right now. I don't know. I also was testing because I'm going to League Challenge this weekend. Something else because my girlfriend has started playing. She's getting into it, and she likes that deck. So I don't have enough cards for both. At least, if she might play in Fort Wayne. If she does, we'll make sure she gets the cards. But I might be playing, just for the LC, maybe like Yveltal Garb, like what won.
Orlando.
Yeah, what won Orlando. But other than that, I haven't really liked too much else. I mean, I'm looking at, I've tried Mega Mewtwo. I never get it to draw right. It just kind of seems to be, never drawing anything. I don't know, no matter how I've tried to kind of, make it, how much I've tried to change that consistency. I was kind of trying out, a Raichu Bats deck for a while. One of them did, I think, got day 2 at Florida.
In Orlando, yep.
Yeah, and that's a cool deck. I like that. When it was still had Golbat, I won a cities with Raichu Bats, so I like the deck, and I was trying to play it more, but it didn't do too well after that, so I gave up on it. But my friends would always make fun of me because once in a while I would just say, "Guys, what about Raichu Bats?" And they're just like, "No, stop." They're like, "It is not good." And I'm like, "Come on!" Even in formats dominating with Night March, once Colress wasn't with it, people there's no. Stop. I'm like, but
yeah, it's tough with so much garb running around in Parallel City all over the place. It's like, it can be difficult.
Yeah, definitely, especially with something else if it had like Giratina. But yeah, I'm liking Rainbow Road. I think it has positive matchups against the decks that did best for sure, like the dark decks. I think it does well against both those. I mean, Giratina, that's obviously makes it much easier because of the fairy weakness. And Yveltal can be a little closer to 50-50. Sometimes it kind of depends. I play Enhanced Hammer, things like that. But I guess it just depends. And I think one of the biggest MVPs that's underrated in that deck is Galvantula. I've taken quite a lot of prizes with that. Like, people bench Shamans. A lot of things are weak to Lightning or Grass, I think that deck, I was testing against like Plumebox, and they always are benching Shamans to get set up in Manaphy, and that's just like 4 prizes right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really liking that. Unless testing seems to go really otherwise, I think that's might be what I'm set on, but we'll see. Right now, yeah, Standard could be really cool right now if they had something to deal with Garb.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more going on. I definitely think a Greninja would be a lot better. Again, of course, I was surprised at how underperformed it did in Florida, but then I didn't realize until I saw how much Garb there really was, and then I was like, okay.
Yeah,
Garb must have been everywhere.
So one thing I personally have been hyped on for Standard is Steam Siege Gardevoir. Has that something you've thought about at all?
I pulled one out of a box I opened. I like how it's I haven't had like the most money to completely just buy cards right now. Just kind of like what I want to play at the time. I bought my Ho-Ohs before Phoenix, and that was the thing. And luckily they paid for themselves, and some more. But
yeah.
I know I like the concept. I like how it's just 2 energies. I don't know, not a lot of lists play too many Mega Turbo with it, but in one turn you just power it up easily. And since Mega Ray isn't played too much because of Parallel, it's nice. The biggest thing that I wish it could do somehow, if we had like some way to like damage modifier. I know some people are lists like a list that did well at I think one of the Europe regionals had Giovanni in it to hit higher numbers.
Okay.
So I think that makes it a lot better. Just like with no tool, if there's tool removal, I like it. I think it's a cool deck, and I like how it's just so simple. You just play like multiple Hoopas, multiple Shamans, you discard them, you remove the threats, and they have to deal with, a 210 HP Pokemon. I do like the concept of it a lot, and there's cool things like Dragonite you can add to it if you want, like new things like that. I just think a tool removal would help that deck out a lot, and I think it'd be like, because it's good against, a lot of the things. There's not too much that it necessarily has a bad matchup against. I mean, with things like Giratina, you can just use, I think, Life Leap, and for 2 energy ends up doing, on Life Leap 100 damage. You have to do something to fill that out, I think. I don't know the requirement exactly, but you can knock it out with just that, or play, Hex and just knock it out easily. Dark decks, obviously, that's a good matchup. Volcane, I think it can be just with tool removal would help that, so you can hit that, the 220, you have to definitely hit it more than once. So I don't know how that matchup really goes. I haven't tested it, but I like the idea around it. Just I feel like tool removal would help that out the most. Just being able to get rid of Fury Belt to KO things. I just think I don't know. I haven't got to play a big Standard tournament yet, so I don't know how often you're really worrying about going up against 220 HP or a Mega that's 210 plus. But I think that's just its biggest hurdle, is not being able to one-hit KO everything. But other than that, I think it's one of the more consistent Mega variants. It's definitely more consistent than something like Mega Mewtwo. And the Mega Mewtwo matchup with how big Mewtwo, it was pretty big at Orlando, it seems. So I think you have definitely a positive matchup against that.
Yeah, if I had to sleeve 60, that's what I would sleeve right now. So it's probably what I will sleeve. So, you guys, today we talked a lot about Expanded, touched on Fort Wayne a little bit. Ryan, or I guess Danny, before I get it too far ahead of myself, do you have anything else that you wanna touch on?
I think I would play Vileplume Box right now, because you didn't ask me what I would play, and I thought it'd be important for me to say that.
We don't like you.
So Ryan, we're counting on you for, I mean, assuming that Dan and I don't win Fort Wayne.
Or any of us.
Yeah,
Darren.
I'm counting on you to do well. Obviously, Ryan Grant's on my fantasy team, so he's been like my consistent player, and I kind of messed up. I also have Jay Young on my fantasy team, and I didn't start him this past weekend because I knew Frank Diaz was going to be there, so I started Frank, and he underperformed a little bit, and then I lost Peter Kicka because he had Sam Chen and himself who day two'd.
Right.
But that's tough. But Ryan, we are all from Wisconsin, so we need to represent really well.
Yep. Like we normally do.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, so I don't know. Ryan, do you want to plug anything for yourself? Do you have, what do you do as far as like social media goes, or I don't know.
I really don't. I'm not really like, no one's asked me to, like, I don't do writing for anybody. I'm not with like anything,
You just day two regionals and perform consistently. That's all you do.
Yeah, I try my best, like, it's like, yeah, I'm just kind of like one of the people who's been slowly creeping my way up, but a lot of people, like, I have a lot of friends in the community, but I don't really like, no one's ever really like asked me to do anything or like anything like that.
Stay on with us after the call and we'll talk about it. But Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today. You guys, again, everyone watching, thank you for all the support that you're giving us. This has been episode number 3 of the Dead Drug Gaming Podcast. A podcast, oh my gosh, the Roundtable. Speaking of the podcast, we just recorded it, and it's going to be up by the time you're watching this video. So go listen to episode number 5. But as always, for any of your Pokemon TCG needs, whether it be what you need to buy for your cards, what articles you want to read, you'll find it all right on deaddrawgaming.com. So keep it right here, and for Danny and for myself, thank you guys, and we will see you for episode number 4.